I'm standing on a ladder because the ladder is the only way I can reach the top row of tanks. Because I am a petite person and I struggle with such height issues. In other words, I'm a short ass. Hey, I love my step ladders. They're cool. So, right, okay. I'm going to try and take you through how I breed my axolotls. So, this is new to me, if I'm being honest. Not breeding the axolotls I've bred. I lost count how many axolotls I have bred. But I've never done it in a tank. And that's because I normally do them in plastic, like totes, plastic boxes. Because the males and females are only together for a short period of time. Whilst the deed is being done, they are only together for a short space of time. After that, they go back to their male and female groups and everything's good. So obviously they have a much bigger water capacity where they normally live. But I normally do my breeding in the totes because it's easier for me to monitor. I don't have to worry about moving the eggs. The eggs can stay in the tote the whole entire time until they hatch. And then obviously we'll go through all that at another date. So this is the first time I've set up in the tank, which is a bit awkward considering they're on my top row. The reason they are on my top row is because they are the most well-suited tanks to the axolotls at the moment. I have sand and gravel bed mixed in my room, and these two tanks are the only two tanks that are in the, well, no, they're the only two tanks at the moment that are empty that only have a sand substrate. There is no gravel in there whatsoever. Now, there is a reason for this. Because axolotls can be a little bit dappy and they don't always look to see what they're putting in their mouths. They will just swallow everything. They are like the Pac-Man of the aquatic world. They just num on everything and they don't think before they swallow, which can be an issue. Unfortunately, what happens is if they swallow gravel, it can get stuck and compacted within their digestive system, which can cause them serious problems. They can't bring it back up once they've swallowed it and it's gone past their throat. There's only one way for it to go after that. And if it gets stuck, it's a serious problem for them. So, sand, if they was to swallow it, can go through the digestive tract absolutely fine, causing no issues whatsoever. Normally, with my axolotls in their tanks, they have a tiled bottom. I don't particularly like bare bottom tanks. I don't think they look very appealing. And as you can, you'll see in a minute. But they've got like real little feet. They're beautiful little feet. They're quite cute. And on a bare bottom tank, I feel like they're struggling even more to get grip. So I use floor tiles. So as long as your tile is safe to be in water, which there is ways of finding this out, Google is your friend, Google is your best friend. Anything that basically doesn't leach in the water. So if you put it in the water and you don't get a funny colouring from leaching out from the tile, yes, it's fine on a general basis. But please do your own research. Do not trust me as your only source of intelligence, because that's not good. So I use tiles for the bottom of my tanks. Now, obviously, I'm not going to tile these tanks because they're not going to house axolotls long time. It's a lot of work for a very short space of time. So we're using these two tanks. Obviously, they are cold water species. Normally, I would not keep my axolotls in my tropical room, but for this time of year, absolutely fine. It's not a problem. We can handle it. It's all good. So at the moment, as you can see, I have one axolotl in each tank. Now, let's go over the basic tank setup. We have basic sponge filters in the tank. No need for fancy dancy pumps, filtration, anything like that. All my whole room is run off of air. I love sponge filters. I think they are the bee's knees. So there is sponge filters in each tank. These particular tanks are running 2 sponge filters in them. They're already set with 2. I didn't set them up for axolotls for 2. They've got 2 in. As you can see, there's some plastic weed here. Now, there's quite a bit of plastic weed in these tanks, more than what I would normally have in my tanks. And this is because when the female lays her eggs, she's going to want to attach them to something. So what happens is if you don't put something in and you have sponge filters, an airline, she's going to try and attach it to that. Now, she will succeed in her mission of attaching it to that. But it is a pain in the butt to get off. So, you really want them to be able, they like to attach things. They like to attach their eggs to something. So I normally put weed in my plastic totes. That's my buzzer. I apologise. I should have dealt with that before pressing record. But we're going to ignore it. It'll be fine. Ignore it. Right, so, look at it. Yeah, so, there's the plastic weed. So we have got lots of plastic weed. I told you it would stop. We've got lots of plastic weed in here for them to attach their eggs to. At the moment, we have the 2 males in the tank. So in this tank over here, we have my copper male. He's a year old. So this will be his first time he's seeing a girl. First time he's seeing a girl in his young adulthood. The female that I have to pair with him is the same. It will be the first time she's seen a male in her young adulthood. So I just thought we'll put those 2 together, see what happens. She doesn't look like she's ready to spawn. She's not egged up or anything. But I thought we're in here, so let's see and experience the young courting as it was together. In here, we have my older, he is around 2 years old. He is my leucistic male. He has bred for me before. He is a wonderful boy. He's very friendly. Aren't you? Yes. So, there he is. Looking all cute, hiding behind my head. Okay, so again, the reason why we put them in tanks is basically so I can show you hopefully so I can show you exactly what happens. Now, axolotls are quite, believe it or not, they can be quite reclusive. So when it comes to this kind of thing, they're naturally nocturnal. So unfortunately, we might actually miss the activity. But I'm hoping at least we can get some of the traits they would do when doing that kind of thing, some of the behaviour and things like that. Whether or not I'm actually going to be able to catch them laying eggs is slim to none, because it will probably happen whilst one is in bed, which is fair enough. You know, they like their privacy. I can understand that. No one wants that kind of thing all over the place. Yeah. So I digress. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pop these I'm going to pop the females into the tanks and then show you a little bit more of such activities. I'm going to get off my ladder now. Bye. Okie dokie, so let's take a little bit of a closer look. So as I said, we have the sponge filter in the back there. There is the axolotl. Look at that face. How could you resist that face? Look at it. It's so cute. Okay, we have the fake plant. There's a rock back there, which is basically just holding down the fake plant, because there's lead weights on it, but it wasn't weighty enough, apparently. Sand substrate, like I said. Cute axolotl. Mark 1. And then we'll shoot across to the other side. Okay, and there is tank number 2 with the juvenile pair in. Or with the juveniles in. We'll have the juveniles in. That is my copper male. In there, same setup. 2 sponge filters. Artificial plant. and a rock somewhere in there to help hold it down. Nice, simple, easy tanks. No need to fuss over it. All is good. So let's start getting the females in, shall we? Okay, so let's put our juvenile pair in first. They have been acclimating. Hello. The girls have been acclimating in these totes. You're not going to be able to see up because, you know, if I try and show you, I'm going to tip water all over the floor, and one is not prepared to do that. You'll see her when she gets in here. Okay, so as I said earlier, she's a light black male. But in certain lights, she's very close to a lavender. So I love lavenders, but you don't get many of them over here in the UK. I also really like piebalds, and I'm trying to breed some of those. Would be nice. Love piebalds. All the spotty dotty ones. Okay, so we're going. Let's put this pair in together. See if I can do this without spilling. Without spillings. Don't want to spill. As you can tell, the top rack is not an easy rack for me to be dealing with. Come on, baby. Won't you come? Oh, it says no. I don't really want to be putting the tub in the water. There we go. Okay, so that's our young lady in for that. There is our young lady. Okay, and we have our gold albino female that's going to go in this tank with this little man right here. So in she pops. And I'm really hoping that this is the pair that successfully breed for me. So hopefully we will get some results. Here you go, Puppet. And on she goes. Okay. So, yeah, so like I said, hopefully it's these two that breed for me. These are the two I'm really after. The juvenile pair, not so worried about. But hopefully this pair does. They have both bred for me before, so hopefully we will get some spawn. I will try and get everything I can, but like I said, generally axolotls lay their eggs and everything else once the lights are off, and it's all dark, so it'll more likely be that I'll just come in and there will be eggs everywhere. And then it'll be, right, get them out. And yeah, so hopefully we'll have some eggs. So until then, axolotls. Let's see what footage we can get. Okay, and there is our juvenile pair. As you can see, they're quite interested in their new... These are a lot more interested in their surroundings. She's now creeping up on him like, what are you? And then done a runner. She's not sure on the whole tonight. She's shy, bless her. She's petite and shy. What a beautiful little girl. So yeah, so there are the juvenile pair. And we will again keep an eye on these and see how they perform. That, believe it or not, what she's just done there is actually quite a good sign. Did you see how she moved her tail more vertical? and he's also holding his tail quite high. That is actually a breed sign. And then he just goes and takes a nip at her tail. Well, there's no way to say hello to a girl on the first meeting. Manners, young man. See what I mean by they're like Pac-Man? Everything goes in the mouth. All curiosities. Don't do it again. Be nice to her. Honestly, there's no chivalry anymore. So, but that's actually quite good behaviour. He's not being overly aggressive. The fact that he's now clambering all over her, is also a good sign, especially if he now turns, because she's obviously walked in the opposite direction. Right, can you see that little tail wiggle he's just done? Oh, this is excellent. Right, so he's just sort of shoved. Oh, sorry, as I shoved the camera. He's just sort of shoved. Can you see that tail, like he's waggling his tail? Right, that is mating behaviour. That is courtship behaviour. Can you see how he's really interested in rubbing round her tail? And what he should do at some point is his tail should go, I'm not going to say vertical, but he will hold his tail up fairly high, and he will waggle his tail and his back end towards her, to show that he is a male. He's showing off his bits, basically. So that's actually really good. That's really good behaviour for the first time meeting. Obviously, like I said, she's not actually spawny. She's nowhere near obviously as heavy as my other female, which is quite common for females when they've never been bred before, not to look spawny. So it is highly possible that she might produce some eggs for us. But obviously with our other female, I have bred from her before, so she does get quite heavily with spawn. Doesn't mean to say though that she could lay them. She could actually reabsorb them and not lay her eggs at all, no matter what he does. But that's actually very good behaviour from that juvenile pair. I'm glad that happened, and I'm glad I was able to catch that on camera. Hopefully we'll get some more footage of that, and hopefully we'll get some more footage of our older pair. At the moment the older pair are quite Okay, and there is our adult pairing. So we have the leucistic male just there, and then at the back is the gold albino female, who at the moment is hiding, which is fair enough. She's shy. She doesn't want to be on camera. He, on the other hand, always wants to be on camera, don't you? So we will see how this pair get on as well, and hopefully we'll get some eggs out of at least one of our pairs. More than likely it's going to be these two. Let's see if we're going to show the I just got some really good views of some breeding activity. Let's see if they can do it again for me on camera. You see how his back end's up, or was up? There we go, back end up. You can do the little tail shake. See how his tail's up, cocked to one side. He's nudging There's the wheelbarrow. So that's what happens. You'll end up with the male getting underneath the female, pushing her back end up. It's almost like wheelbarrows. I don't know whether you can see, but her little nostrils at the front here are quite flared, which is a good sign. Every time he lifts his tail up like that, he's releasing hormones into the water, which is indicating to her that he is ready and he is there to perform. And her nostrils being flared means that she's smelling. Some more nudging. I actually think that we might end up with spawn from these pair. I don't know whether you'll be able to tell, especially now that they've darted into the weed, how swollen now his back end is compared to what it was. Yeah, so she's decided now that she's going to go and explore the plants around the back, which again is another good sign. As you can tell, he is quite excited. A little happy air bubble and some more tail wagging look at her. And tail up and cock to one side. She's now showing some interest. There we go. So there is some typical flirty behaviour from a pair of axolotls. So this could continue for the next 24 hours, this kind of behaviour. I don't know whether you can see, especially now she's just gone over the top of it, but he's dropped basically a sperm sac, if you like. It's just underneath her there. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that. See if I can get you in closer. Okay, so we have a few sperm sacs that have been dropped. So there's one right there in the middle of the camera. It's basically jelly. And I don't know whether, can you see that white dot that's just sort of floating there? There's another sperm sac, and there's another sperm sac over, once he gets his tail out the way. That's a bit rude position. Over there, look. So there's the sperm sacs being dropped. Now what will happen is naturally he will drop the sperm sacs and she will go over the top of them and collect said sperm sacs, absorb them. The eggs will then become fertilized and then the eggs are laid. So he's quite happy, look, to drop sperm sacs. So we will just have to see whether or not she decides to go along and collect said presents that have been left. So let's see if we can catch the next stage with this pair. Okay, good news. The axolotls have bred. We have success. Okay, right. The younger pair, which obviously I wasn't expecting to breed. They were doing all the right behaviours, but she wasn't going around collecting like she should do, which is perfectly normal, if I'm being honest. It's not a problem. They wasn't prepped for breeding, so I just wanted to experiment and see what was going to happen. But my older pair that have bred before have bred for me again this time. So not as many eggs, but for me that's absolutely perfect. There's still quite a few. I came in the morning and I saw that they had done their shizzle, and there was eggs all over the weed. And I turned the camera on and I was talking to you, and we was all excited about the situation and all of the things. And then I took the eggs out. We took the eggs out, we put them into a pot, and then I realised that my phone malfunctioned. So obviously I couldn't go putting the eggs back in. So I just left it at this point. I did, however, take some photos of the eggs on the weed. So we're going to go through them. I'm going to show you or talk to you with a little bit of information on basically what would happen now. So obviously the eggs were laid after a day or two of them being put together. All was good. I retrieved the weed from the tank, and I set them into a plastic pot or a plastic tub like this, and they sat in there. I then separated the eggs from the weed, and then basically we just sit and wait. So let's have a close up of our parent group. So we have the female, which is a gold albino, and we have our male, which is a leucistic axolotl. So hopefully we should get some, and they've got some interesting bloodlines to them. None of these two are showing traits of this, but there is some interesting breeding to them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we might get some traits showing through on the offspring. So I'm going to show you the pictures now of the eggs and through to their development until obviously hatching. So let's go do that while I try and make over my parfait of malfunctioning equipment. Of course it would happen to me. That's just what happens. Okay, so what you are looking at here are teeny weeny weeny little baby axolotls. There they are. We have a selection of eggs in here that I have pulled for us to focus upon and take a better look at. So, as you can see, these have literally just started to hatch. So we have And very, very tiny. Little babies there. And the ones that are curled up are still in their egg sacs. That one in the centre there is upside down. It looks like it's dead. But I promise you, it's not. If we was... There we go, look. They're just really... They're dappy from birth. And they're cute and cuddly. And they are literally hatching out as I've put them in this tub right now. They've been sat in this tub for a few days, selected out. And today, when I got up this morning, there was one out. And throughout the morning, every time I pop back in, there's more that has hatched. So, what will happen now is later on today, I will do a water change on them. Of which it's this time that it gets very hands-on and very interesting, of which I will show you a little bit later on what we're going to do. So we'll give them some more time, see whether or not by the end of today we get any more hatch out, and then we will start separating them off from the ones that haven't hatched to the ones that have hatched. So yeah, so there we go. The start of a little baby axolotl. The life of an axie has begun. Aren't they cute? They're so cute. So, we'll catch up with these in a little bit. Okay, so what we have here is all of the eggs have hatched. And they are now a little over 24 hours old. On the youngest ones. Obviously you can tell the ones that hatched out earlier. Like that little one there. And then one, for instance, that hatched out that little bit later. Like that one there. So, we're going to give them... I gave them a little bit of brine shrimp earlier this morning. And we're going to give them now a little bit more. Because this will now be their main diet for a little while. Will be the brine shrimp. There we go. I'm flipping around because I've just added the brine shrimp. So what happens now is they need at least one water change a day. At least. So what I use is a turkey baster when they are this size to suck the babies up. And put them into another tub with clean water. So there we go. So now you have an idea from parent to egg to hatch. And my next task is to separate them into sizes. So where obviously, like I said, you can see the ones, there you go, look, there's 3 sitting there. So one that clearly hatched out, the one of the earlier ones that hatched out, and 2 there that were 2 of the later ones that hatched out. As you can see there, you can see the baby brine shrimp wiggling about. So what I need to do is I need to separate them into 2 tubs now on sizes. So we'll separate the big ones from the little ones. And that will be tomorrow's task. But for this video, there you go. Breeding axolotls from parents to egg to hatch. So what I will do is I will be doing another video on the care side of it, on how we're going to care for these little tiny weeny little baby Pac-Mans. And what we will do is I will show you in the next update video on these, on separating them in their sizes. And then we will probably go to weekly updates in that video. So once a week I'll take a little bit more footage, show you how they're getting on, and then I'll show you what I do with them as and when required. Like I said, every day will be at least one water change a day, and we will see how they get on. Nope, that was a baby having a num-num. Yes, yes. Okie dokie. So, the work begins. Baby axolotls everywhere. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video of me breeding the axolotls and trying to show you as much behaviour as I physically could. It is quite difficult with axolotls because they do like doing everything when the light's dimmer and everything's quiet, so it is a bit hard. It's also the first time that any of them, including the adult pair, have been bred in a tank. So that makes things a little bit more difficult because obviously they're not used to being gulped at for a piece of glass. So, but I got as much as I physically could, so I do hope you enjoyed it. The next step will be me taking care of the teeny weeny babies, and throughout then until they get to a good decent juvenile stage. Now obviously this is going to take some time. I will be doing weekly videos on them, so each week on a certain day I will do a video on them to let you see how big they are and the size they've got, and I'll show you swapping over from their baby food, so their baby brine shrimp, up into the next grade of food and getting them used to eating that. And then the next grade of food, and then the next grade of food. So we're going to go through that. I'll be able to show you them growing their little limbs and getting their little hands, and it's all going to be very, very cute. And this lovely lady here will be helping me with such things because you help me with the axolotls, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes. So I will see you in the next video. We will see you in the next axolotl baby update video. So yeah, so until next time, keep safe everyone, and